right. Bet you didn't know you could grab drones right out of the air like that and just have them instantly be off. But it's these rubberized 3D printed prop bushings right here that make it all possible. All right, welcome to another T.REX talk, you guys. I appreciate you tuning in for that really short, incredibly short and fast tour of the front half of the shop and the back half of the shop here. So what we're going to be talking about today is the Sidecar 2.0 and some production stuff. I should have looked up the exact date. That would have been kind of ideal. But about 3 months ago, almost exactly 3 months ago, approximately 3 months ago, we launched the Sidecar 2.0 or Sidecar Nueve or Sidecar Platinum or Sidecar something. The new version of the Sidecar with the integrated spine system and hinge. And so for the last 3 months, we've been making those. We've been getting feedback from people. We have been working on updating or squeezing every bit of efficiency that we can out of production hardware that we have installed in order to make that new Sidecar design. So I just wanted to give you kind of a state of the union address, just a little update on where things are going with minor changes that have happened, stuff that we've added, and there's definitely been a few mistakes that we've made along the way that I also want to talk about as well. And since I'm doing this relatively unplanned, this is how much notes I have. I'm going to need your questions, and I'm going to try to keep an eye on those. So let's see here. Should be able to see those coming in now. Oh, yes. Can Sidecar attachments be used standalone, unattached to the actual holster? Excellent question. I just wanted to prove that I was actually watching, paying attention, and that I'm going to answer questions. The answer is yes. Your mileage may vary a little bit compared to some of the other micro mag carriers that are on the market. I find that they work great, even though this part sticks down a little bit farther than it technically has to hold a magazine. There's only one clip, but I find that the roughness of the spine teeth, the roughness of the spine teeth help hold that thing vertical. So I find that it works out pretty well with mags. It works out excellent with the handcuff carrier. It works out okay-ish with the AR-15 mags, 20-round mags that I normally, under no circumstances, would ever recommend that you have the 20-rounders. But it brings the center of gravity a little bit lower to the mag carrier, makes it a little bit easier to run on its own. So, yeah. Any way to run 2 magazines with the Sidecar? Yes. There is an adapter-y thing that you can bolt onto here, and that gives you an additional hingey spine system that you can throw a second one over onto. That is part of our open source design files, 3D files that you can download from the website, TREX-arms.com. And I want to talk about that a little bit. I had actually hoped to do more open source support, like invent new little 3D doohickeys that you can 3D print yourself or send out to Shapeways or various other places to get those printed. And I haven't had a ton of time to do that. So we've added the akimbo adapter for those of you that want to run 2 of these guys. You know, what do you call it? Castor Troy style. If you want to run 2 of these guys with enough space for 2 red dots, because if you are going to dual wield a large capacity handgun, you would definitely want optics on there. That file is part of the open source thing. The way to attach multiple magazine carriers, that's in there. And then anyone who wants to make their own attachments and things, all the other specs are in there as well. Blueprints, solid files, and meshes. So we want you guys to be able to have the tools that you need to do that. Inventing new weird Sidecar toys for you to 3D print yourself was kind of on my to-do list, but it was a little bit lower priority than some of the other stuff that we've added. So since launch, we have added a fair amount of extra support for different guns. So this one launched this week. This is the CZ-P10. So we now have CZ-P10 support for all the existing CZ-P10 models and the main lights that we support, which are the X300, the TLR1, and the TLR7A. There is kind of a weird issue with the P10S Super Subcompact. I don't fully understand it myself, but there's a bunch of gun companies who put a light rail onto their super subcompacts. And this light rail is not actually compatible with very many lights that are on the market, even though they're real close. Like, they're just thousandths off, you know, many thousandths, like many dozens of thousands, but still only thousands off from working with existing off-the-shelf common lights. I don't fully get it myself, but for the full-sized and the regular compact and the competition-ready P10s, all those lights are supported. People here say they're asking for the 365 XL with TLR7 Sub. That is back up. I'm going to talk about TLR7 Sub support in a little bit, but Glock 48 support and the SIG 365 XL, those both support the TLR7 Sub. You can go to the website right now and buy those. Those are up. We also added VP9 support. I keep thinking in the back of my mind that we added FN 509 support since launch. But what actually happened was we were a little bit ahead of schedule. We added FN 509 support at launch. So it's on my list of stuff we've accomplished since launch, but technically I should cross that off. We're working on the 1911, and we're working on SIG P229 and 226 and other P22 combinations. Those will be up by the end of the year. There's something else we added too. Oh, it was the mod light, the PL350. We added PL350 support for the Glock line, so that's supported as well. And we're working on some new attachments. I am told that I'm not allowed to talk about those, so I won't. But Henry from 9-Hole Reviews, if you are watching, the attachments will be excellent for your MP5 there. No one else has any idea what we're talking about. It'll be perfect. People asking about Mauser C96 support. It's not on the to-do list, but I will say we recently got a Sterling. My desire to turn the Sterling into a Stormtrooper blaster rifle is very high, and if I do that, I will also need to create a Han Solo blaster pistol using a C96 Mauser. So I guess I can't say that we'll never do it. The temptation is definitely there. People asking for a whole bunch of things like 2011s, CZ75s. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail or make any promises about things, but there's an internal list of stuff that we are working on that is very long. And then there's the external list of stuff that we've made public that we're working on. And I think the only thing that's left on that list for this year is 1911 and the SIG P22, etc. series. So I'm pretty sure Kyle won't allow me to go into any more detail than that. But those are a bunch of things that we are working on and have added to the Sidecar line in the last 3 months. But it hasn't all been just expanding success upon success, victory upon victory. We ran into an issue. It was entirely our fault, but definitely it was entirely our fault that we didn't find this sooner. Some of you have noticed that we stopped selling the Glock 43X and the P365 sidecars with the TLR7 Sub. Sorry, I'm just trying to keep track of all these different gun and weapon light name combinations. We also stopped selling those XSC products briefly because we ran into an issue, and the issue was this. Because those small guns, this is the wrong holster to hold up, but it's the one that I have, because those are very small guns, and the TLR7 Sub actually is a relatively large size light at the switch base, it was possible to grab the light and to torque it, or grab the pistol and to torque it to the point where it was kind of jamming up inside the pistol. It wasn't completely unworkable. You could always not torque it and it would work just fine. But because of the slimness of the slides, those two pistols, the shortness of the slides, and the large, relatively large size of the light, we were just having issues with it binding up. Those are not an issue with the P365 XL or the Glock 48. The slightly longer slide means that there's plenty of room for you to get a straight draw out of those without torquing it to the side. Or if you have a 43X with a compensator on it that makes it as long as a 48, that would also work just fine. So that was an issue that we ran into, and we'd already sold some of those holsters. And so we ended up doing is offering our first refund. This is the first time that we've actually done this. So we had to kind of figure out how to do it. Offer a refund to people that had bought those holsters and wanted to replace them with something else, return them, and give them an opportunity to make a refund. So that was the first time that we have made that kind of a mistake at that level, and it was definitely our mistake. We had done a bunch of testing, but we hadn't tested an incredible amount of torque, what it would actually take to jam it up. So that is something, a lesson that we learned. Another thing that we learned was with the Sidecar, we changed almost everything overnight. Of course, it wasn't actually overnight. We worked on this project for months and months and months. That's why it also feels strange to do a Sidecar the first 3 months update, when actually this is like 3 months out of, what, 24 months? I think we've been working on this project for like 24 months. Off and on at the beginning, and then really full time for the last really long time. But we started out having changed out all of our molds, having changed out a whole bunch of our hardwaring procedures, and having changed a whole bunch of this production line stuff back here. And we've made some changes since launch, one of which are these really cool motorized conveyors that you see right behind me here. So we now have motorized conveyors taking stuff all the way through the shop. This one right here is the one that takes the molds and the kydex over to the molders. Molding is directly behind me. And then this angled non-motorized conveyor is what brings the molds back after they've been done so they can be put on the shelf, which is, you can't quite see it. And then there's a conveyor belt that runs this way, and this conveyor belt takes the molded kydex up to the 4 CNC machines that drill and cut our holsters. So we launched without those conveyor belts and had to learn a whole bunch of new tooling, and then we added the conveyor belts, which was an extra sort of learning curve. So we have been working on the process for these 3 months, and we've actually gotten, I think, really good at some of this stuff. Even some of the stuff that at the beginning wasn't working super well and we didn't like because it was different or for whatever reason, we're actually really happy with a lot of these procedures now. Some of them more happy than we were before. Some of them actually really happy. So we started off with, I forget what the lead times are. Drew, can you remember what our lead times were at first? Part of the issue was, of course, we launched a new product and we sold a ton. When we actually launched the Sidecar,
it was 1 to 5. You mean way back in the day?
Well, when we launched the Sidecar, we slowed our lead time down to like 5 weeks.
1 to 5 weeks was, for the new Sidecar,
it was 1 to 5 weeks, which was not great. It was not what we had wanted to do, but because we sold many, many, many weeks of Sidecars in a single day, it took a while to dig ourselves out of that hole while learning to use the new equipment. Today, the lead time is 1 to 5 days. So I am incredibly proud of the guys back here who have been working on the production line and really figuring out new procedures and models for using this stuff to just get as much possible efficiency out of the system. And so with the Sidecar, we have made it a better product. We knew that we had a better product, and then we built a new production process for it that we knew could be faster, could be better, but that came over the course of, I guess, 3 months. And there's still some things that I know that we can do better. So we're continuing to work on that. We got a couple of other updates coming, some things that are getting better. I don't know. I feel like Kyle's watching us somehow. I don't know how he could be because I don't see him behind us, but there's probably some technological method by which Kyle could be listening to what I'm saying right now. So I'm not going to talk about any more additions or improvements to the Sidecar that are definitely coming very soon, some of which are sitting just off of camera in that direction, some of which were delivered at 11 o'clock this very morning. But it hasn't all been just Sidecar stuff. We've also been gradually improving some of the Ragnaroks. Some of the production stuff that we've been doing with Sidecars, we are also doing to the Ragnarok line, which is very helpful. Ragnarok SD is getting upgraded. For those of you that already have a Ragnarok SD, the new one isn't going to change anything for you, but we're adding a couple of extra models of weapon to that. So if the Rag SD wasn't something that you were able to use previously because you had a weird gun, the new Rag SD might possibly support it. Depends on how weird the gun is. Still don't support that Mauser C96. There's not a really good way for us to put an X300 on that particular weapon. And so there's not a really good way to use it with the Ragnarok SD. But I am super proud of what everybody back here has been able to do with the Sidecar, bringing it out and then also improving it, adding capacity, capability to it, adding more holster support, adding more light support, and then getting those lead times back down. 1 to 5 days is our best. That's as good as we have ever gotten. So I'm really, really happy about that. But having said that, it's possible that Black Friday may change the lead times a little bit. That's all I'm going to say about that. That's not a leak. That's a caveat that implies a leak. So let's get to some other questions. People asking about the old-fashioned Raptor, missing the old-fashioned Raptor. So the Sidecar is essentially an old-fashioned Raptor if you don't add the if you do not add the magazine carrier. You have what is functionally the original Raptor, but you have the capability of running a mag carrier with it and making a lot of noise on a table when you take it apart. You also have the capability of running a second belt clip with your Raptor style single holster design so that you can have more stability. You can have the ability to cant it further than you ever could the original Raptor. So I feel like the only reason to go back to the old Raptor at this point would be nostalgia. Yes, we made this just a hair taller on this half of the Sidecar, but the reason we did that was to accommodate taller suppressor height sights. So if you really want to run the old-fashioned Raptor, I really feel like this is superior in every way. Everything about the old Raptor has been improved, and you have the options of turning it into a Sidecar, which is a really important thing that we wanted to do for a couple of reasons. We wanted to add capability to our customers, but we really wanted to add modularity, because even though I feel like this is a premium product on some levels, it is pretty competitive with what's out there in the market, and at the same time it is kind of expensive. So buying multiple holsters just so you can carry your gun in multiple ways was something we wanted to address. And that's something that I really like about the Sidecar 2.0. Once you have this holster, you can pair it with a whole bunch of different things, or run it by itself appendix, or cant it and run it 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock. It gives you a lot of options. After you've bought one thing, you're able to use it in a whole bunch of different ways. So that was high on our to-do list, and I feel like worked really well. There's really no reason to have the old Raptor, because this is everything that the old Raptor could do and more. And the light compatible version is, I think, cheaper than the old light compatible Raptor was. Don't quote me on that. Kyle, don't be watching. Sorry, what was that?
It is.
Oh, never mind. Kyle, do be watching. I was correct. Christian has confirmed it. The light-compatible Sidecar by itself is cheaper than the light-compatible Raptor was. So it's better in every possible way and more affordable at the same time. Do you recommend using the claw when running it at 4 or 3 o'clock? That's a good question. It really depends on body shape. I used to be a lot less squishy in the 4 o'clock and 3 o'clock zones. And I did not use a claw when I would run there in the past. Over time, I have discovered that the claw is slightly more useful than it was earlier. So your mileage will vary. It's definitely the sort of thing that you should play with. And the claw gives you a couple of options. You can run it on the back and it gives a little bit of belt leverage, or you can run it on the front and it gives you more belt leverage, or you can run without it. And the belt will come along and just catch the top of this little bit of Kydex here. So you have 3 different things that you can experiment with and see what works with you. It really depends on body shape. And where exactly you are trying to carry it, and where exactly you want to have your belt as well. So I do, when I run 4 o'clock, which is not all the time, and it's sort of more 3:30 for me, I use the claw. Glock 2021 support, it's definitely on a list of things that we are doing. When it's being done is not something that I can disclose. Make the flashlight portion interchangeable so I can run different lights. So this is a very interesting, important clarification, we would like to give you modular options, but that's something that would really weaken the holster in a bunch of areas. So as unfortunate it is that you're going to need multiple holsters to run multiple lights, there's really no getting around that at this point. So people asking a lot of questions about various things that I will second Christian. I will say, make sure that you are signed up for the newsletter. Make sure you are signed up for the newsletter. And oh, I should have actually hit the podcast a little harder when I caught this drone and snatched it out of the air in a completely believable and completely seamless fashion. Last Monday, the podcast topic was on drones. We have a podcast which this episode that you are watching right now on YouTube will go on to our audio-only podcast, and it will be the 95th episode. So we are very close to having 100 episodes of our podcast online, most of which are the YouTube lives that you're watching right now that are going to be turned into audio backups, because it's very possible that I might say something that causes YouTube to not allow us on their platform anymore. Like right now I'm demonstrating a holster that is completely fine on the YouTubes. I can demonstrate finger guns. That's still allowed as far as I know. Finger guns are still allowed on the YouTube lives. Handling firearms is not. If I talk about Kyle too much, and the YouTube algorithm thinks that I'm talking about the wrong Kyle, perhaps a Kyle who is undergoing some sort of judicial procedure having something to do with self-defense, that wouldn't be allowed. So the podcast gives us a really good backup for a lot of the content that we've already created and the ability to make new content. So sign up for the podcast and sign up for the newsletter. Some of the new products, some of the potential hypothetical products that you guys are asking about will be inside of those newsletters. And some of the sales, you guys are asking about upcoming sales. People in the newsletter find out about those first. People talking about e-bikes with IR headlights. I do need to talk about that at some time. In my office, right at this very moment, there is an e-bike with infrared light capability. It is true. And it's now dark enough that I'm going to be riding it in the dark. I actually haven't been all summer. Can't handle firearms on YouTube Lives. Why is that? I actually kind of side with YouTube on this a little bit. There have been people who have live streamed actual shootings, and people have live streamed a lot of very problematic firearms accidents that gets YouTube a lot of bad press. So not allowing people to live stream stuff with firearms, having the algorithm turn off live streams that have people handling firearms in them, I kind of get it. It wouldn't be what I would do with the platform, but I kind of understand. Of all of the restrictions that YouTube has placed upon its creators, it is the one that I understand the most. Not being able to talk about certain Kyles while being able to talk about other Kyles, this is a very problematic thing. And earlier today, I was at the zoo, and when we were in the ape enclosure, my brother Noah and I started talking about guerrilla warfare. Guerrilla warfare is something that you are allowed to talk about on YouTube, but guerrilla warfare and counterinsurgency often you are not allowed to talk to. So it all boils down to what the algorithm thinks your pronunciation is going to be. That's, seems arbitrary. So people are asking about different clips on the Raptors. The Raptors had a quick clip. The old-fashioned Raptors had a quick clip. This tuckable clip is superior in that you can actually tuck your shirt behind the clip. So you can put this clip on your belt, and then you can run your shirt down behind the tuckable clip. So it is a superior way to carry a firearm. People asking, should he upgrade to the 92X when Taurus, never mind. I'm not even going to finish reading that question because I got to Taurus. Yes, you should upgrade to a 92X. Or a 92FS. That would be better. Apes together strong. It's true. We commented on that very fact when we were at the zoo today. Apes together strong. People are asking a number of questions about the newsletter, about flashlights. So one of the reasons that we have focused on flashlights quite a bit the particular flashlights that we have settled upon. There's a bunch of flashlights that are out there, but the flashlights that we support in our holsters are the Surefire X300 U-Boat, and the Streamlight TLR1 and the Streamlight TLR7A. The Streamlight TLR7A is, I believe it's the only one that Streamlight is selling now, but I would personally recommend if you're buying one on eBay, make sure it's the A model. The switches on the A model are way better than the switches on the original model. We support the TLR7A. It's currently my favorite light. It's currently the one that I am running because it is compact and very capable for what I need it to be. So that is, we have settled on those three lights because we have, through all of our experience and experimentation, those are the ones that we really trust. Those are ones that we run, and they cover a pretty good level of capability. So the X300 is obviously a really solid, proven bomb-proof light, and the TLR1 that Streamlight makes has similar lighting capabilities as the X300, but at a cheaper price point. And then the TLR7 is one of the best compact lights that exists and is also relatively affordable and available. This is the other thing that's weird about 2021. There are some great products out there that are just not available. And so supporting those products is not something that we're not going to do, but it becomes a really, really low priority. Some people asking, can't find Grayman Network. It is literally grayman.network. So why don't T.REX arms don't cover the TLR7 Sub? We do cover the TLR7 Sub. I feel like Strong Bad here. Learn to spell. The TLR7 Sub is supported by T.REX arms for the two lights that, the two weapons that we make the lights for it. So we've got the no, sorry, my brain is starting to do this backward. The SIG P365 XL and the Glock 48. Those are the weapons that we support for that TLR7 Sub. And those work great. Oh, and I forgot, for the compact lights, we actually do support more. We have the Surefire XSC and we have the TLR6. I'm not a fan of the TLR6. It is very small. It is not very bright. It is not very waterproof at all. It runs on watch batteries. It feels kind of like a toy, but it's much better than nothing. And for a lot of really small compact guns, the TLR6 is your only option, and it's much better than nothing. So, yeah, there we go. New T.REX merch. This is actually an interesting conversation that we had earlier. Based on what's happening in the world and in the American economy and so forth, we have sort of put a lot of swag on the back burner so that we can focus on usable, practical gear. Not sure if that's entirely the right decision, but that's the way that we have kind of gone for, at least for now. That's probably the way things are going. Although there's new hats coming. Okay. So apparently this was not like a totally rigorous, everybody will comply with this. Apparently some people ordered new hats. I'm okay with it. A lot of people asking night vision questions. A few people asking night vision questions. I would recommend that you guys go and take a look at that budget night vision video. I'm already seeing one person who has ordered an L3 WP PVS 14 because of that budget video. So yeah, so this is actually a really fascinating thing. I have had more questions about night vision in the last probably 2 months than any other 2 months. That is an extremely interesting field. I actually wish that I had made the budget night vision video, but I couldn't. I had to wait for Lucas to make it first so I would know what to buy to put into my budget night vision video. So, but now the video is made, so here you go. I am possibly going to work on a video about riding your e-bike through the woods with your infrared lights with your budget night vision on. Do you think that if you have a bicycle, you need binos to ride it? Probably not. No. Mono, fine. It'll be good. Are you going to make a holster for the P226? Yes. That'll be out by the end of the year. We're working on it right now. Ever been to Sweden, Mr. T.REX? Not relevant to the topic at hand, but I actually haven't been to Sweden. Some other members of my family have, but I personally haven't. Any third-party sidecar attachment that you have found interesting? Yes. So I had actually hoped that there would be more people kind of running with the open source Sidecar spine system, and there have been a number of people that have been working on it, but things have been a little bit slow on that front. I'm not sure exactly what I expected, but I've seen some knife makers making stuff for it. I've seen some people making and 3D printing their own adapters that are very different than the ones that we released for free. And so some of those are really fascinating, but some of the adapters that take different knife sheaths or take different types of holders, those are really cool. And one of the things that I thought that I was going to see and haven't yet is people doing more with nylon. Once you have this spine system and you have the pin installed, this is actually really cool for certain nylon accessories to attach to, like our tourniquet holder, which is made out of biothane. That is something that I'd like to see more people doing, but at the same time, it's really, really hard to get nylon stuff right now. It's really, really hard to get certain types of elastics, certain types of Velcro, and certain types of webbing. So yeah, I have seen people zip tying stuff to the pin in here, and that I think is a really cool idea as well. Someone points out the thing is there's not many things that people want attached to a gun holster. It's true. There's a lot of things that make no sense to be attached to a gun holster at all, and yet people still ask for them. I still have on one of our to-do lists a corn dog holster. I know who wrote it. He's not fired. He still works here, but we have yet to make the corn dog holder for the Sidecar system. And technically it hasn't been erased off of the whiteboard and probably never will be. When will you release the High Point C9 Sidecar? I don't know. I'm seeing mixed reactions from the people back here. One person has given me this look like it's about time, and then everyone else has given me the exact opposite look. Corn dog holder, not fired yet. There was not even any disciplinary action for wanting a corn dog holster. I will point that out. We're very broad-minded people back here. People have been testing 3D printing for making Sidecar stuff. Excellent. Great job. The Surefire stiletto, can it fit in the Sidecar TQ holder? Actually, that's an excellent question. It's been a while since I've handled a stiletto. I feel like it would probably potentially slip through one of the gaps at the bottom because it's a very svelte light. I will say that tourniquet holder is a very flexible and adaptable thing. It's really good for holding a lot of small devices, but larger than the stiletto. The stiletto is a little too small, probably not so much. Here's someone asking for a carrier mount for their iPod Classic 5th Gen. Man, that's not even on the list. Yeah, favorite shotgun gauge, 12, obviously. Oh, someone asked a very important question that I should really clarify. Lucas asks, would this hypothetical and totally not in development corn dog holder hold the wooden stick end or the corn dog end? Well, there's two schools of thought about this. It's been widely discussed back in the dev department. I personally probably should stop talking about it and move on to the next question. Would love to see an updated concealed carry video with presenting and firing in positions beside appendix. So I don't know. I feel like this is something that we should definitely do more of as a company. I rarely carry at 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock. There's really not that many people here in the company who do that. So there's probably other people who are far better suited to explaining that technique and way of doing things. I do it when testing holsters, and I do it when certain wardrobe choices just kind of push me in that direction. That is... yeah, that's as far as I can go on. I would not, I would not teach the best ways to do that. There's a lot of other people I think would be better at that. Someone here is suggesting a trough that holds the entire corn dog sideways. If it were deeper and there were a spring at the bottom, it could be a corn dog magazine that actually feeds corn dogs upward as you remove them. So that's some big brain thought right there. Taco style holster for tacos. Well done. Hang on a second. I need to write some of these ideas down. Hang on. Should we switch if we have and love our original sidecars? No, if you like the original sidecar and you feel like it fits well for you, the comfort and concealability is there, I would stick with it. I have a couple of original sidecars that I will carry again and not replace with all of the production test holsters and prototype holsters that we have lying around all the time, and I can literally just take home in bushel baskets if I wanted to. This is what, a quarter bushel, something like that. We generally make like a quarter bushel holsters every time we do a production test. So these are CZP10s, all the different barrel lengths, no light, right hand and left hand, one of each, and that's just kind of initial production test. There will be more production tests as well. Or actually, no, they're already done because it's on the website. Which Beretta holsters are you working on? Well, it's, oh, you almost had me there. Almost. Carbon weave Kydex bottle holder. Stop wasting time on these food sidecar comments. I feel like chat is back to its old self. Does the rifle mag carrier work? The rifle mag carrier, I think, works really well. It's one of those things that's not the most comfortable thing you've ever worn in your entire life, but it is one of the most surprisingly comfortable things you've ever worn in your entire life. It's far more comfortable than you would ever have suspected when you first put it on. That's been basically everybody's comment. Holsters for radio. So I am working on a bunch of radio research, which will eventually turn into radio content and possibly turn into something more. So until we actually have more, figured out on the radio side, I don't know that we're going to pick a specific radio or a specific 2 or 3 radios to support. Also, that generally makes a lot more sense to carry on other types of kit, other types of load-bearing equipment. Not necessarily something that goes inside the pants. However, somebody did make, and I was really, really happy to see this, a software-defined radio holder for the sidecar that integrated with the sidecar spine system. So I was really happy to do that. Yes, shout out Terminal Armament. That is who did that. Again, there's probably other places where you could carry that radio, but there's also no reason not to try that out. So I was happy to see that. People are now, after one person said spend less time on the food comments, now it's nothing but food comments. Yeah, that's how chat works. Chat is definitely back to normal, you guys. I don't know if you noticed. Favorite red dot. My favorite red dot, I don't know. I'm carrying the RMR right now, but I am noticing that open emitter is definitely more of an issue than I thought it was going to be, especially now that I have a couple of closed emitter things that I'm working with. The closed emitters are way, way less maintenance, and I get I get used to that. I get used to not having to worry about the emitter being occluded by little bits of belly button lint. Oh, was that too much information? I mean, there's other stuff too, but I noticed that I have a lot of like clothing lint that ends up filling up that little RMR shovel. And there's probably just no way around that. That is, you know, if you're going to conceal your weapon with clothing, little bits of clothing fibers are going to fall into that RMR scoop. Do they call that the shovel? I know it's a piece of glass, but it works like a little shovel. I'm quickly seeing if there's any questions on the Gray Man server, because that is a slightly higher level of chat. I should probably not do that. I'll get back to the food comments. Have you guys thought about making flashlights for multi-tools, making holsters for multi-tools for handheld flashlights and pens? Not pens, but we've definitely considered a couple of different multi-tools, a couple different handheld flashlights. The most useful thing probably would be for people to develop some CAD models for the flashlights that they have and that they like, so that it's really simple and easy for people to print out things for specific ones. T.REX carries some Surefire lights and some Streamlight lights, like this Streamlight ProTac, which is my normal everyday work light. And they all have slightly different diameters and slightly different bezel profiles, so every flashlight holder would be kind of its own thing if it were 3D printed or if it were made out of Kydex. Now, it is possible that it's possible that there's an elastic holder that would support more things, could be easily made, and then attached to an adapter, kind of like this Raptor wing attachment adapter here that we have. It's got a whole bunch of different mounting holes for just that kind of experimental product. Do you see a difference between airsoft pistols and real pistols when making holsters? So right off the bat, we don't really think about airsoft pistols at all when we make holsters. We make holsters for actual firearms, period. However, there is a lot of value in using airsoft for dry fire, and there's a lot of value in using airsoft pistols for airsoft events. I'd highly recommend that you do that, by the way, especially you, Alec Baldwin. What I would recommend that you do is do a little bit of research, because there are so many airsoft manufacturers out there. It's really impossible for me to know what is going to work out of all of the different things that are thrown out there. But you guys that have done some airsoft, what sort of best fit airsoft Glocks, for example, when it comes to using them? E-Vike. Yeah. This is a complicated question in terms of things like licensing. Like, there are people that make Glock-like guns, people that make Beretta-esque guns, and then there are people that make properly licensed and fully dimensionally accurate guns. And I don't actually keep up with that very well. Some of the other guys do. Christian says some airsoft guns don't work, some do. Christian, you should be on here. That was so much more concise and helpful than what I just said. So I'm technically using Drew Hopkins' laptop, and I'm logged in as Drew Hopkins. So if Drew Hopkins says something super spicy, he has plausible deniability, and so do I. So these are, yeah. Did I ever figure out the radio, phone, map, data pack, infrastructure thing and getting them all tied together? Not yet, but I have narrowed down a whole bunch of directions. So right now I'm doing a lot of testing with meshtastic, and a bunch of other people are too. So keep an eye on that. Begin researching meshtastic radios using LoRa, because that's what I'm tinkering with now. There's already a pretty good plugin for ATAC that uses that. The capabilities of those radios are pretty good, and there's a lot of room for improvement. So that is what I'm going to that's what I'm going to recommend that you do as far as research goes. Start learning about LoRa radios, L-O-R-A, and meshtastic. I'll just spell it here in the comments for everybody and prove that I'm logged in as Drew Hopkins. Yeah. Very cool. Could you make a holster for airsoft pistols that's a bit more adjustable? We've actually talked about this for a completely different thing. We've been talking about supporting P80s and supporting some of the other non-Glocks a little bit better, and one of the ways that we would do that is create a holster that is way more forgiving, and it just wouldn't have the exact same feel that a holster that is made for a specific firearm would, and we would let people know that ahead of time. And so we're kicking that idea around. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about that idea. One of the things that we have done with Sidecar 2.0 is tighten up all of our tolerances, and with that have come some great advantages to repeatability, but with that have also come some disadvantages. The holsters are a lot less forgiving. So there were definitely guys who were making unsupported combinations of thing work, and with the new sidecars, certain things don't work. There are certain lights that say that they fit a TLR1 light, and they kind of sort of do if it's a large bucket or if it's a leather holster. And something that is a little bit more precise and better defined and has tighter tolerances isn't going to hold some of these knockoff lights that are roughly the same proportions. Airsoft companies also, well, airsoft knockoff companies will often make knockoff lights as well as knockoff pistols, and we've discovered that there are some pretty big proportional differences between some of those knockoffs and the actual thing. So as we've tightened up tolerances in improving performance in some ways, it has actually made some of our holsters less compatible with airsoft knockoffs of various things. So yeah. Shadow Systems fits the Glock holster. GST9 fits the Glock holster. People are throwing some things out here. Why the spacer on the clip to create small space between the Kydex and the clip? Why not flush? I think you were talking about the rubber washer here. For the non-lights, the reason that there's a rubber washer in between the clip and the holster is because there's a trigger guard area that's fatter here, and we want to make room for that. On the light compatibles, it's to just give you a little bit extra room to tuck your shirt back behind your pants and your belt. So that helps. Is there going to be more holster options? There's always going to be more holster options. We're adding more holster options all the time. Any plans on a shoulder rig system? There's not. There's no plans for a shoulder rig system at all. There's just nothing that's currently being thought about or used or anything. Just, that's better. Sorry. Does the Sidecar 2 offer more flexibility and mobility than the first one? It does. It allows some more flexibility for different sizes of users, but it also, I think, gives you a little bit more ability to move around, like say in a car, getting in and out of a car. I think it feels better with the Sidecar 2.0. Some people who are a different shape than I am find massive differences in comfort between Sidecar 1 and Sidecar 2. I find not a ton of difference, but when I'm doing certain things, moving or stretching like I was just doing earlier, that's the sort of thing where I notice a difference. So yeah, ankle holster, no plans for an ankle holster. With the realm of concealment, would you ever step into materials other than Kydex for a more comfortable concealing option for those of us living in Florida weather? I actually don't know what would be more comfortable than Kydex in heat and humidity. Leather is not better in heat and humidity, definitely not. So yeah, that's kind of an interesting question. I know that having Kydex right up directly against your skin is not super fun, but it also is better than a lot of the alternatives. So there you go. If you have suggestions, let me know. I often get holes in my shirts because I appendix carry, hard surfaces pinch the fabric. Yes, I have this as well. I have a whole bunch of shirts, a large percentage of shirts, undershirts that have holes in them. Any shirts that hold up to that, I really don't have any specific product testing that I can point you to, but that's, yeah, everybody's nodding. Everybody has the same thing, especially if you have really sharp sights. I was for a long time running the Ameriglow eye dots, and they just have razor sharp corners. So I noticed that that made a difference, a negative one in certain things. People asking questions about products that they couldn't possibly know about because they haven't been announced yet. That's unpleasant. Have you tried putting two sidecars together to akimbo carry? We have. There's an adapter for it. You can download the adapter file and you can 3D print your own, and it works great. Technically, you can take two guns and run them without an adapter. You just run one slightly lower than the other and just put them together like this. And that works fine as long as they both don't have red dot optics. If they both have red dot optics, there's not quite enough room between the two. Once you have that spacer out there, all sorts of possibilities open up. So there you go. Okay, now that we've started talking about undershirts, there's a whole bunch of comments on here that we're just not going there. We're going to get back to corn dogs and corn on the cob and various other food conversations before we get to those. And a lot of people are asking questions that are already on the website. So one other thing that I think that we've done a pretty good job of with the Sidecar is we've set a standard. This is the media team. I'm so proud of the production guys for everything that they've done to bring our lead times down. The guys back in dev who have been making all of this other stuff possible. But the media team have, I think, really raised the bar in terms of the product support that we had as soon as we launched the Sidecar. So there are videos on all of the attachments and how they are used and how they can be adjusted and how they can be used with the holster. That is a level of support that we want to continue to not only build upon and expand upon, but also bring that back to previous products and make sure that we offer the same level of support. So a lot of the questions that people are asking are things that are addressed on the website or addressed in the frequently asked questions on the website, which I guess is called the guide. Is it called the guide now? And a lot of this stuff is also addressed in videos that are on the main product pages of the product that you're asking the question about. So I think that the web team, the media guys and the customer service guys have done a phenomenal job at expanding the amount of information that we have for products and answering questions that you have right there. So yeah, and if they don't answer those questions directly on the website, the customer service team is amazing. The amount of conversation that they have with people, I'm also really happy with that. It kind of blows my mind sometimes how long conversations will go with somebody as these rabbit trails of conversations about products that we don't even carry or support go, just to help people out with stuff. I appreciate our CS guys a lot. Someone is asking, will the Glock 48 with the TLR7 Sub work for the Glock 43 with TLR7 Sub? They'll fit in the same holsters. They'll fit in the same holsters. It's one of the great things about Glock, because they don't change things up too very much. Although they're starting to get worse at that. People asking questions about Kyle. I can't answer them on the off chance that you're asking about the wrong Kyle and YouTube nukes the entire stream. Did you notice that Garand Thumb mentioned in a completely innocuous way the wrong Kyle? And that was the end of that particular Instagram post. It was pretty fast. I know that there are some people who have asked, what is your thought on the bird, which is the bald eagle? Well, it's one of the larger and cooler raptors out there. We have them down in Tennessee. I see them occasionally. And is this Benjamin Franklin asking that question? No, we're not going back to the turkey for national bird. I'm sorry. I need a left-handed holster for my Canic TP9. Yeah, yeah. You might need to look elsewhere. That's all I'm gonna say. Magician's Endless Handkerchief Sidecar. Yeah, the opportunities that the Sidecar offers for close-up magic are pretty untapped at this point. Somebody should get on that right away. Well, one of the things that we've also done with the Sidecar, this isn't true across the line because we have a bunch of Ragnaroks that are right-hand only, but everything that we offer in the Sidecar line is available for lefties as well as righties. So there are some Ragnaroks that are righty only, but the plan is, going forwards, every Sidecar that we make available for right-handed customers, we also make available for wrong-handed customers. I mean left-handed customers. That's going to be the way that it goes from here on out. People asking when they will see me shoot. I shoot occasionally on camera. It's very rare though. The reason for that is it's unfortunately rather rare when I shoot off camera. So it's going to be a ratio of that. I have a bunch of stuff that I still need to finish building out and using, which means I have a bunch of ammunition considerations that I have to address prior to finishing some of my experiments, unfortunately. Do you guys have ammo recommendations that you want to throw out to the chat? Now people are asking about just random stuff. A general purpose Sidecar attachment. The tourniquet holder is kind of that general purpose pocket. It is very flexible and it has elastic so that it is accommodating to a bunch of different stuff. That is something that you can use as your general purpose pocket. People asking about Olight. At this point, when people ask about Olight, it's never clear to me whether they are genuinely curious as to whether or not we will ever support Olight, or if they're just trolling because it's now part of the deep lore of T.REX and the T.REX content engine. I'm not sure. Can you confirm that the TQ Sidecar holds the Omega 9K? I think we can. I think we can. It definitely does, but can we confirm that? We've all done it. So we can confirm it. Lucky Gunner still has good customer service. Good to know. Different lengths of clips to allow higher or deeper sidecar carry. There's a fair amount of adjustability with the 5 holes that are here and with the extra holes that you have on the light compatible sidecars. So generally speaking, there is a lot of adjustability with the existing clips that we have, and you have the capability of upgrading to steel clips with the discrete carry clips, the DCC clips. We sell those as well. So that's an upgrade that you can get on the site. Yeah, chat's definitely back to its old self. ASP cuffs. ASP cuffs do not fit in the holster if they're the large overmolded polymer ones. The large overmolded polymer ASP cuffs are a lot bigger than regular hand cuffs, so they do not. But that is, how did you think I was doing, Drew? Like, I focused very much on questions this time. Is that what people like?
Yes.
I don't know. One of the things that is really interesting, corn dog silencer. No, we're not. No, we're not even gonna. Is there a chance of a sidecar for firearms with a Mod Lite PL350? Yes, we support the Mod Lite PL350 on Glock. On the Glock sidecar, you can go and you can get that, and the Glock Ragnarok as well. If you are running a Glock and a PL350, we have your IWB and your OWB covered. Any plans to make a frag sidecar attachment? Well, I mean, I would kind of love to do that. I just wish we had more frag grenades lying around. I had a friend, technically I still do, who carried frag grenades regularly as part of his EDC. And the reason that he described for this was a frag grenade is a really useful thing. It's like a friend with a 12-gauge shotgun that you can throw behind a bad guy. And it's a pretty solid description of a frag grenade. I've always wanted to have that option. But for legal purposes, that is, of course, a joke. It's a joke that you would want to have that option. Nobody would ever want that capability, having a friend with a 12-gauge shotgun that they could just throw behind something.
I've got a question.
Certainly.
What's the next big challenge for the team as far as sidecar production is concerned? What's the next hurdle you're trying to get over?
So for the production guys, that's a great question. What's the next big challenge? For production guys, the next big challenge is going to be Black Friday because, I can't leak anything, but it'll be Black Friday for just, I guess, no reason, just because it'll be Black Friday. For dev guys, the next big challenge is kind of interesting because there isn't anything on our current to-do list that is as big and complicated as Sidecar 2.0 was. Like, we literally changed everything in production. We changed almost everything on the website. We changed everything in the designs. So currently there's nothing on the table that is as big as that. And our team kind of coalesced around having a ginormous dragon to slay that was that project. So right now, as a team, we kind of are suffering a little bit from the tyranny of the urgent because we have a bunch of stuff on our to-do list that we're getting done, like adding more holster support to the existing sidecar and fixing little issues with the production equipment as it comes up and squeezing more efficiency out of the different machines that we have. But we currently are looking for that next big project. We have enough work to keep us busy for years and years and years. But without having a big project to kind of set our priorities against, I feel like we have lost a little bit of efficiency, and that tyranny of the urgent kind of sets into where we're moving from small project to small project to small project. Oh, back to this one because there was a thing that came up about it. Oh, back to this one because there was a deadline related to it. So one of the bigger issues that we have as a development team is to kind of not exactly regroup, but sort of figure out our way of working on projects that are not the sidecar, because a lot of our team dynamics were built around developing the sidecar specifically. So working on just better ways to prioritize projects and sort of time management for those is a high priority. But there are a couple of possibilities. There are a couple of things that are on the horizon that are potentially gigantic projects. Those would be pretty solid, pretty big dragons to slay. They would be super fun. So yeah, that is an excellent question. I appreciate that. But that being said, we're going to continue to commit to adding more weapons, adding more weapon lights, adding more attachments. There's attachments coming soon. Continuing to make upgrades to Ragnaroks and bring them up to kind of the same tolerance standards and the same definition standards that we have established with the sidecar now. So there's a lot of stuff that's going to continue to happen with those. So, you know, little stuff which, that's not Kyle, so I'll say Ragnarok SD upgrade coming soon, minor Ragnarok upgrades happening continually, new attachments for the sidecar coming very, very soon, all of this stuff. all of this stuff is all happening. All of this work is getting done. And Black Friday is coming very soon. So make sure that you are on the newsletter. Make sure you're subscribed to that newsletter for no reason other than just Black Friday is coming and you should be subscribed to a newsletter. And if you want to hear updates about a different Kyle that we're not allowed to talk about, you should also be subscribed to our political newsletter where we keep track of stuff like that. And then you should also be subscribed to our podcast, because this is the end of the episode where we plug all of our stuff. That's what you do on YouTube and podcasts and other things. You just plug all of your social media handles and various things. So subscribe to the various newsletters and the various podcasts. This is episode 95. I wonder, will we do something special for episode 100? I mean, everyone's nodding that we should, but the odds are at some point in the very near future, we'll look at our watches and go like, oh, this was episode 103. Huh, cool. What are we doing next week? I predict that's how it's going to go. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Thank you so much for supporting the Sidecar. We really appreciate all the feedback that you guys have given us and all of you customers that have come along and helped us to build out the production capability that we have wanted for this product and really hung in there with us as we developed this business over the last few years. We appreciate you a lot, and we are really, really grateful for the things that you allow us to do. And we really are excited about that next giant project that's just on the other side of the horizon, or just on the other side of when Kyle says we can talk about it. But we're still really glad to have the opportunities to finish all these little upgrades along the way, support more customers, allow them to carry weapons, have the tools that they need to do the things that they need to do. That's really what we're all about here at T.REX. And we couldn't do it without you guys. So thanks so much for your support on the product side. And thank you so much for watching our content and being a part of the whole T.REX family. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk to you soon. Episode 96, coming on Monday.